All right, today we're taking a journey, but not across the world. We're going deep into the landscape of the mind itself. We're going to explore Transcendental Meditation, or TM. You know what it is, where it comes from, and the science that actually shows how it all works. Okay, let's dive right in.
So, does this feel at all familiar? That constant stream of thoughts, the mental to-do lists that just keep scrolling, that background chatter that, never seems to shut off. In the world we live in, finding just a moment of real, genuine quiet can feel, well, almost impossible.
And this search for quiet, it's not new at all. For literally thousands of years, people have been looking for a way to get to a state of inner calm, of deep silence. And one of the most direct paths, with some incredibly ancient roots, is what we now call Transcendental Meditation.
But how did this ancient practice, with roots that go back millennia, find its way into our modern, super-digital lives? Let's take a quick look at its journey to the West.
Okay, so its origins are way back in the ancient Vedic texts of India, but it was really in the 1960s that Maharshi Mahesh Yogi brought it to the West, and he did it by framing this profound practice in a really simple, accessible way. By 1970, a formal organization was set up here in the US, and today it's a completely global practice, fully adapted for our modern times.
Now, to really understand how TM works, we first need a kind of map of our own inner world. And it turns out, the Vedic tradition gives us a surprisingly detailed one, outlining these different levels of consciousness. And here is a core idea from those texts that really changes everything. The brain doesn't create consciousness, it experiences it. Kind of like a radio tuning into different frequencies. This analogy, the brain as a receiver, is absolutely key to understanding everything that follows.
So let's start with the frequencies we all know. First, you've got our normal waking state, what's called Jagrat. Then there's dreaming, or Swapna, where our mind just creates its own reality. And finally, there's deep sleep, Sushupti. Now think about this. In deep sleep, there are no thoughts, no dreams. But when you wake up, you know you were there. You say, I slept great. Something was aware.
So those first three states, they're pretty familiar to all of us. But TM is all about systematically accessing a fourth state of consciousness, a state that is the actual source from which our thoughts bubble up.
And this is it, transcendental consciousness, or Turiya. The source material calls this the key discovery of the Vedas. This is not sleep. It's a state of being completely awake, but totally silent inside. It's just pure, peaceful, expansive awareness, without any of the usual mental noise.
So, the destination is this silent, fourth state of consciousness. The obvious next question is, how do you get there? And this is where the TM method is truly unique.
The most important word here, the magic word really, is effortlessly. Unlike so many other practices, TM is not about concentration. It's not about control, and it's definitely not about forcing your mind to be empty. It's a totally natural process that just allows the busy, thinking mind to settle down all by itself.
You know, a really helpful way to understand this is to compare it to something like Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is usually a guided relaxation you do it lying down. TM is different. It's unguided, and you practice sitting up to stay alert. But the biggest distinction is this. Yoga Nidra gives you a temporary state of relaxation, while TM is designed to build a permanent trait of calm.
Think about it like this. It's a great analogy. Yoga Nidra is like charging your phone when the battery is low. It gives you a temporary boost of energy. TM is like upgrading the battery itself. It fundamentally changes your capacity to handle stress and stay calm. So one gives you relief, but the other builds lasting resilience.
So, this experience of inner silence and changing our whole baseline, it's not just a nice feeling. It has real, measurable effects on the brain.
So what does the science actually say? Well, research on people who practice TM shows some really remarkable changes in the brain. You see this big increase in what's called brainwave coherence, especially with high alpha waves. And that basically means different parts of the brain start working together in this really synchronized, orderly way. This state is linked to incredibly deep rest, lower stress hormones, and, over time, a lot more emotional stability.
And look, the whole point of this isn't just to feel calm for 20 minutes while you're meditating. It's about cultivating a stable inner silence that sticks around, that stays with you even when you're back out in the world, just dealing with your day.
So, where does this whole journey leave us? What's the fundamental takeaway from this practice?
The purpose of TM is not to check out or escape from your life. It's actually the exact opposite. It's all about upgrading that internal battery, changing your baseline state of being so that you can engage with the world more effectively, with way less stress and a lot more clarity.
So let's end by going back to that really powerful radio analogy. If the brain is just an instrument, just a receiver for consciousness, well, it leaves us with a pretty provocative question. What frequency are you tuned into?